Perfect. Let's see. Everybody has the board book? So. All right, before we begin our meeting, any folks want to say the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome everybody to the September 2025 meeting of EGPOA's Board of Directors. And welcome to our newest board members who joined. We had a regular meeting after our last annual meeting, but welcome again to them. First item of business is approval of our August 17th, 2025 minutes of our annual meeting, members, reorganizational meeting, and regular meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. First order of business to call the roll. Go here. Alana. Here. Joel. Here. Ken. Here. Rusty. Here. Mark, I see you on Zoom. Dana. Beverly, are you on Zoom?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you.
Alex. Here. Sarah.
Here.
We have a report. Excellent. Now on to those minutes. Tab one of your board members. Anybody have any questions or can I get a motion?
A motion to accept.
Can you get a second?
I second.
Great. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? Any recusals? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the minutes pass. Thanks. On to our management and maintenance updates.
Yes.
First up, talk about pool closing and any off-season maintenance or repairs.
Okay, pool, as many of you know, is now closed for the season. We will be officially closing the pool up this week. Just a couple of updates relative to that. Pool went fairly well this year, no major issues there. We will need to purchase a new vacuum for the pool. At the end of the season, we were having some issues with the pump on the vacuum. Basically, we looked at replacing the pump just for the vacuum. It doesn't make sense to buy a pump. It really does make sense to buy a whole new system. So we're going to price that out and we'll include what that replacement would be for the new budget. We'll see if we have the funds available to include it this year as opposed to buying it next year. We'll get that to the board before the next meeting. We are seeing a little bit of etching in the concrete floor of the pool. We've spoken to the manufacturer. The recommendation is that if it continues, the best solution for that is drain the pool, sand the floor down in the pool, and just go about our business. It's no preparatory maintenance that we have to do, nothing to coat it with. It's normal wear and tear of the pool, they said. So it's just the useful life of the pool as it continues. Keep an eye on it, and over time, that's something that we have to do. So just normal wear and tear is happening to the pool at this point.
Nick, I'm sorry.
Yes.
They gave any time frame of the wear and tear and when we will see some type of even more deterioration?
No, they said keep an eye on it, if it continues, or if you see large pitting of any kind, that's really the time to do it. They said probably by end of next season, assess it again. And then look at it, we may have to do it, the beginning of season in 27,
Okay,
would probably be their idea. But really, it's just making sure your chemicals are balanced properly, making sure that, you know, you're watching your alkalinity, because those are the things that affect the etching of the concrete.
Nick, is that, I noticed, that a few kids got cut on their feet. Is it because of that?
I can't say specifically, I know Alana did mention that at one point, that there was some roughness in the pool.
my kids were cut out in the summer.
Yeah.
We can definitely take a look at it. We're gonna bring the water level down a little bit to remove some of the toys and such. So we can see, I think the biggest complaint was in the kiddie pool area.
Kiddie pool, yeah.
And that's the pool that has the highest turnover of chemicals, and I won't say the highest imbalance, but that's the one that we're, you know, putting the most chemicals in and treating most often because of the amount of bathers, amount of kids and people that are in and out of that pool.
But it's like a rough texture,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Well, it's
Right.
I don't know, I don't think it's the chemicals, but the
Yeah, what happens is
the floor itself.
because of the use of the chemicals in that pool, that's what actually etches the concrete. And
Okay.
that's what causes the floor to kind of wear off. But we'll definitely take a look at it. We may think of doing that pool first, before the big pool, because the big pool does not have as much of a problem in it. But we could look at that and possibly even consider doing that pool this spring. But what we'd have to do is actually drain the pool down, bring a company in, they would sand the floor down in that pool. And then we'd obviously refill it and reuse it. We could get an estimate and a quote on what that would look like to do. So that is pool closing. Other than that, normal closing procedures, we will be closing the pools up ourselves. We have all of the necessary closing documents from William Watson Pools, Anthony Manieri, Ed, our grounds person, and Nate will be doing the closings. They've been through the procedure. They actually consulted with gentleman Marvin who did the opening with us, so they're confident and prepared to do that. And ready to go. So that covers the pool. Any other questions on that?
You had some problems last year with, I guess, some coal lines and stuff in there. Do we want to keep the heat on with the?
So we do have a electric heater in there, but all the lines are gonna get blown out and shut down. One of the problems in there is nothing was blown out and closed up properly, but that will all be done as well this year. And the water will be shut off to the room. The water meter actually blew last year in there as well, so we'll do a proper shutdown like we would on anyone's home, that's closing up for the winter, so.
Did we take an inventory of the chairs?
Oh, I was just gonna say that.
We will, we did have some chairs that have been set aside that are damaged and just need to go, and we'll get a good count. I do not believe, other than maybe the first week of the pool, when we had that like really hot spell, we had any real issues with the lack of chairs this year. We didn't get any complaints that there was, issues at the pool in terms of that, but we'll take account and we'll get a sense of that. But we didn't have any of those concerns that folks had about people monopolizing chairs or putting their towels on them or any of that. So things seem to go pretty smoothly over there this year, surprisingly. But anybody hear any complaints that you needed to know about, or? All right.
On to the weed removal.
Lakes and weed removal. As everyone knows, the weed boat is here. We did some practice test runs, Lake Louise Marie. It has been moved over to Treasure. It is currently docked at Ken's dock at his home. Ken also, in his off time, constructed a barge for us to unload the weeds onto, with nice unit that we can utilize. We are awaiting the permits from the DEC. I know Tom is literally calling every day and speaking to the folks there. Tom Gans is still assisting us with that process. We did receive, the dam repair, for Davies extension approval this week. That was condition precedent for the weed removal. I know that they were going to do that before they issued the weed removal permits. So that did come through. I circulated that. So we will be discussing that at some point, going out to bid on that work. Most likely over the next month or so, we'll be sending out the plans to contractors to obtain bids to do that work in the spring. But as soon as those permits come through, Anthony Manieri and Anthony Iannuzzi have both been trained on the operation of the boat. They have practice on it. Joel has seen them in action. Ken has seen them in action. They are ready to go. So it's just a matter of the okay from the DEC. Joel has seen the boat. It's ready. It can do the job. It's just a matter of time. So we're just holding off until we get that because we don't want to get into any situation where we're doing work without the consent of the DEC. First focus will be on Treasure Lake, as it is an occupied lake and there are homes there. And then obviously we will move here to Davies. Lake Louise Marie will most likely be a spring project because there are not as large of areas there that need to be cleaned up. But that will be our focus once the permits are in place. Questions?
Yes, the steam, machine, did we ever?
It has been ordered, hasn't been delivered yet. We did order the steam Jenny, it's just not here yet. It wasn't necessary from Louise Marie to,
Yeah,
Treasure.
just,
But once it comes out of Treasure,
you go to Davies, I don't know.
yeah.
That's a steam, what are we talking about?
We ordered a steam Jenny as part of.
Wash the same thing that we do with both, we should do with that machine also, that.
Oh, water, correct. Yeah, just a high temperature to kill any kind of growth or bacteria or anything, algae that's on the machine.
Thanks to Tom, Ken, Anthony, and Anthony for all the work, and for Joel for.
Joel for spearheading it, absolutely.
We guys did a great job down at the boat ramp.
Oh, yeah, if you haven't taken a look, if you get time, Anthony Manieri built a boat ramp down here at Davies to launch the machine and also for future access. Once we get it cleaned up, folks can bring boats in and out and make this lake really usable for future purposes. So.
Any other questions for Nick on the weeds? Okay.
You wanna talk about?
Do we wait? Yeah, at the 20.
At the tractor. Work that or
We can do that at the end of the.
Okay. All right, so let's go to the entertaining roof repairs. What's up with that?
Sure, entertaining roof repairs, if you didn't notice, there is a new roof on the entertainium that was approved by the community. It is substantially done, they have to pick up some of their tools and items and remove the dumpster, but the roof is on and.
Luana may have one of them, I'm not sure.
That hasn't taken long at all.
I don't know if this one was there.
No.
I don't know. Didn't take long at all, came out well, they had to replace about 20 sheets of plywood up there, so not as many as we thought.
And there was no other damage underneath it, nothing?
No significant damage whatsoever, just some rot of plywood, generally in the areas where there were penetrations of those roof fans. Went pretty smoothly, no issues, so it's all well.
Were they able to replace that rusted bed?
Yeah, if you look, there is new trim, it matches the gutters, so, nice and clean and new. So,
Is there a warranty?
there is a part of our package with a 15-year warranty on the roof. We will get a lien release and all that from them, Monday when they come back. They just sent us a final invoice for the difference of the plywood, and we'll get all the paperwork and such resolved Monday or Tuesday. So we are good to go in that regard. All went well.
Any questions? Nick on the roof? All right, let's go on to the entertaining gym space. We've gotten a couple of emails from folks asking about potentially shifting some of the workout equipment in there, so things aren't so tight around the bikes. And we've had now at least 2 requests for, a punching bag or speed bag.
I can donate one. I have one in my garage in New Jersey. Great, if you want it, so.
Load it up, bring it up, we'll make it work.
Thank you. Empty my garage.
There it is.
So yeah, so if you haven't seen, the mirrors were installed in the gym. Gotten compliments on those, thanks to Dan and Bev for kind of pushing that and keeping that in the forefront. We got that done. And so now that that's happened, we're going to realign some of the equipment in there. And also we're going to look at taking some of that equipment out of the pool second floor area, swapping it out with some of the equipment that's in the gym, taking some of the older equipment out of the gym, and then either finding a home for that or possibly selling that off. Just because I think we have an abundance of cardio equipment in there now and making some free space. There's been an ask for some flat ground space for working out. And then again, the request for punching bag and other cardio area, just free cardio area to work out in. So over the next week or so, you'll see those improvements and changes in there as well. So we're on top of that and working on that as we speak.
Questions? Okay,
I think just on the fitness center and thanks again to Dan and to Bev for continuing to look after that space. I think I just have a question around process, because we're sort of periodically spending money to upgrade that equipment, and which this board has approved. And just to keep an eye on kind of that process, I'm wondering kind of where that process will live going forward in the committee structure, just so that we have kind of a regularized process to bring spending approvals to the board. In part because, like, my brief experience with the fitness center, which is lovely, is that, you know, for everybody who wants a machine over here, there's somebody who wants a machine over there, and it kind of never ends. And so kind of punting some of this to a committee process can help sort of routinize these expenditures, and also I think just kind of puts
yeah,
do with others.
I think you're right on there. That a lot of this isn't board level decision making to begin with, but it buying equipment, of course, is. The building and grounds committee that we'll talk about later, when we talk about our committee structure, I would envision that that's where the sort of stuff lives, and that would be the committee that would bring any kind of proposals into them. Okay. All right, let's talk about the townhouse mailboxes. Thanks to Leslie. You'll see tab 2 of your board books. I know all the board members have seen this already, but just for a refresher, are some photos of, I don't know what to call this, that Leslie found on a drive that looked like a pretty good solution for the townhouse mailbox problem that has been a bugaboo for us for many years. I just wanted folks to be reminded of that and get an update from Nick in terms of what's next to make that happen.
Yes, so the postmaster in Rock Hill does not have a negative position on this. Don't really have a position at all. They say they think that will work. Obviously, it's up to us to construct it, so they're okay with us proceeding in this course as long as they are properly identified and got it clear.
I'm just gonna share these up.
For some reason, I don't know that the postmaster in Rock Hill ever had a negative position on it. Okay, but I think, yes, your suggestion, the way they did it, but I think that there's other pieces that you could put on there that can make it look even better than what we currently
Sure.
maybe a little more money, but it would definitely
In the past, some other jurisdictions, postmasters have required things like the true mailbox units, you know, from like a mailbox.com. But this is a rather affordable solution, easily
Don't forget, we
constructed.
have two sections there.
Right,
So let's not make it look like instead of a condominium, or townhouse, situation into a.
Yeah, these would probably,
To anybody to a trailer park, thing. That's all.
these would probably be wrapped in, white vinyl, Alex. We wouldn't leave it as regular untreated lumber.
Are we planning on building this in-house with someone?
oh,
We be done.
we could, and I would build it in AZAC as opposed to wood. I mean, you could build this in a vinyl, product, you know.
Jose works for us.
He's still working for us in the part-time capacity, sure.
If you look at on his block, he built out mailboxes
Mhm.
for his corresponding neighbors and him connected. And it looks beautiful.
Sure.
It's a great, he could just replicate something like
Yeah.
that. It kind of elevates it a little bit.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
I think you can build this very nicely in any configuration that. I think it's the general
Yeah.
idea.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we could find a solution that works for all of us there and not be expensive.
Will we be, purchasing the mailboxes so they can all be?
They'll be uniform, yeah. Yeah, I think we would purchase them, number them. Make it all uniform and nice and get this project funded forward.
And because there is 3 sections there, right? I think that perhaps this sample there has it by numbers. Perhaps we can just label the street address underneath. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And then the boxes have the numbers that correspond to
Correspond.
that section.
Okay, yeah, we'll do a mock-up and
Okay.
get it coordinated.
Right,
So if the board's okay with it, we'll just proceed accordingly and we'll fund it from contingency and then we'll let the treasurer sort out how he wants to put it in the budget lines.
everybody okay with that, or do we need a?
I think the only thing you just have to be cognizant of is really in digging the holes for the post, because.
Dig safe, mark it
Big
out.
save.
No, it's just gonna be a little more than a normal mailbox post, you're gonna.
Yeah, we use 6x6 to put them in the ground and sonotubes and.
Do you anticipate that the total cost of this will go over the bylaws requirement for a board vote?
Which,
Let's close up.
2,500,
For all three, probably.
I would say it could. Let me put some numbers together and then I can circle back.
I think we do this as an email. I think this, not hearing any dissent at the table, I think we could just do an email vote. I'm just kind of thinking about letter of sticking with the procedure.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do that. So Nick will scope it out, spec it out, and then we'll have a vote if need be. Okay? All right, Nick, anything else for your management meetings?
Can I just add, I did circulate and I apologize for not refreshing and bringing it back up, but I did have just a quick 2-minute before the meeting with Joel and Chris, and it's not official. I do want to refresh the board's recollection and discussion about paving. If we do anticipate looking at this before the blacktop plant closes, which will be probably early November. We just have to start thinking about that, and I don't know if we still necessarily have the funds in the assessment for that. It was a question I had for Joel, being the prior treasurer, who's gonna check, and I'm not putting him on the spot.
I'll check, but
Yeah, we just have to,
I think we went through them,
okay,
but I'll double check.
just something to look at, so we can start getting to when closing out COs and finalizing that.
Can we at least finish the paving on the walkways and the entrances? And have them grade it right into the lot area, just so that way that's done.
I can certainly ask contractors that, the only thing I would assume is that some of them may look at it and that might increase the price for that portion of it, right?
It's the,
At least to get that done,
Yeah.
so it's accessible.
just to clarify Dan's point, for the CO. Is the seal coat the requirement for the CO, or are those kinds of grading and access things what you're looking for to get the CEO. In other words, could we get the CEO by doing that kind of interim solution?
access. But then you would probably still need, well, we already have handicap spots marked, so I don't think you would need anything else.
As long as they're still graded properly and accessible.
But you're talking about doing this by November, I guess, right?
Yeah,
So you say it's not gonna be worth it to bring someone in just to do this little work, and it's gonna have to get them. Better if just doing a little shop. Done with it.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Okay, so Joel, you'll put together, you'll look at the numbers piece of it. It's something we can revisit at our October meeting.
I'll do it before, I'll get that to you before.
Because there'd still be time after that to schedule the work and get it done before raises. Okay, all
sure.
right, let's do that. Anything else?
That's, all the main items I have.
Okay. Joel raised a question about, doing another EGPOA merch store, like this. And my wife's agreed to, volunteer to run it if people are interested in doing that. She's run it for a couple of PTAs in the city, and they're fairly easy to run. If board thinks we have enough interest in the community and want to do that.
We're doing what? We're,
Doing, yeah, having a merch store, so I think the last time when Al ran it, there were like coffee mugs and sweatshirts and t-shirts, that sort of stuff. I really have no idea what goes into it and what you can get, but
if we got a volunteer.
we have a volunteer.
That doesn't cost us anything.
Exactly, it costs us nothing and, promotes.
People run purchasing, I mean, it wasn't like dramatic, but
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple things, I don't know how, I didn't really get a report back.
It's like the old saying, Bill, don't come.
Okay. Anything else, management and maintenance, before we move on to the finance piece?
You wanna talk about the tractor or?
We could if,
If you want.
yeah, sure.
Your floor.
Yeah, so the John Deere we have has worked great for us for cutting the golf course, moving the things around that we need to move. Got the docks in, it will ultimately pull the docks out. We have I'm not exactly sure her connection to the PO, I think she's a resident, but her dad, Alana, you know this young lady, right? Her dad is selling a larger piece of equipment, much larger piece of equipment than we have. And this thing has all the bells and whistles, and we're interested in it. And now that we're doing the weeds in-house, it has some things that we could really benefit from. And we're interested in it, and we're interested in upgrading to it. And a conversation with Joel, that I had was, we'd like to look at that. Joel suggested maybe we put a deposit on it, but I wanted to kind of talk to the board first before we looked at doing that. So my thought would be is that we look at,
what is this?
it's a, Anthony, are you on the Zoom? Minier? I think he's there.
We'll put him on the spot.
Is it a track?
Yeah, Nick, I'm here.
Could you talk about the other machine? I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, it's a couple stages larger than the one that we have right now. It has bigger tires, a little bit more powerful. It has everything that the John Deere has, like the brush hog, the rake. It has forks, and it comes with something else. I do believe, but yeah, I mean, we could definitely do quite a bit more with it, and it definitely would help us with removing the docks as well.
Is that?
What's the year?
Is it a bucket with a hoe? or-
That's right, Joel. It has the backhoe on it, Joel. Yep.
2023, I'll tell you, I have the specs in front of me. 2023 Coyote 352, 116.5 hours with a front loader and backhoe, 100-hour recommended service, recently completed, comes with a brush hog, York rake, pellet forks, and a 5-foot box.
Coyote.
What was the model number?
Alex?
Are we buying this from a private person or?
It's a private sale.
I'm sorry, 352.
So they won't take ours in?
3520 SE.
Yeah.
What I think is 2023.
They would not take ours on trade. We have to sell ours.
No, it's.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Just a point of clarification, this is more similar to the one that we initially approved, correct? Because we approved the,
This would be, yeah, this is even larger than the first one.
so just to kind of backtrack, we had, oh, it's larger than the first one. So we approved the first one, which was a food, correct, and then we.
A Mahindra,
A Mahindra, thank you. But then what was bought was something that was smaller.
a John Deere.
Correct. We approved the monies for the first one. Is there a discrepancy in the monies that were approved?
This is less, this one we purchased was less than the first one.
So the John Deere, what we purchased was less than what we approved.
Correct.
And then does this fit in with the John Deere purchase, or does this fit in with the initial approval of funds?
This is larger than the first one, and the John Deere was smaller than the first one.
But the. I think we
Was the
approved
estimate-
No,
30.
I mean the financial, when I say larger, I mean the financial approvals. We initially approved
It was 35.
35. We spent less, correct, for the John Deere?
Correct.
This is less than 35.
And this is less than 30. So we had the approvals. You're just trying to get we have to see, does the trade-in come before the purchase? Because we have to see what we can get the John Deere traded in for.
Of course, we have to sell it. This is
Sell
not,
it,
yeah,
yeah,
we have to
so
sell
I
it.
can sell.
What brand is this again?
Here, I'll just give you my phone.
Benefit brand.
May I ask why do we need it? Why do we need it? Is the
The other
current
one
tractor?
The other one,
We have one already?
we had one, it's smaller. This would be an upgrade from what we have.
So it's not a need, it's just there's an opportunity to get something a little nicer.
Nicer,
How old
larger.
is, how old is the one we have now?
How old?
Yeah, you just might need one.
The one we have now, we just purchased earlier in the year, but it was a 4-year-old machine. But it only has, well, now it has probably about 150 hours on it. It serves its purpose, it's a good machine, but this woman came into the office, she lives here, she came in the office, she was telling us about this piece of equipment. And it's just it's a great value for what it is.
I think what you're doing with the dam, you'll definitely use this to help you with the dam, I would think, no?
We can utilize it for a lot of projects and it's a piece of equipment for the future for us.
The machine we have now can't do, you're saying?
Well, the machine we have now is limited in its capacity.
Sounds good.
What happened was when there's something that happened with the initial sale of the original.
They sold the original piece of equipment before we could get it.
Correct,
we all-
and one of the several purposes of the initial equipment that we approved, and from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong. There were several benefits, including that it had the capacity to move our salt and ice into the dump truck. This equipment does not,
Oh.
that we purchased. So there are limitations to what we initially approved and thought we were getting, and so it's somewhat helpful.
So the net cost won't be that much once we sell the old and.
Once we sell the other one,
Yeah.
it's like a $13,000 Nexus.
Sounds good to me. Which kept us in the budget from the 35 that we originally approved.
So just to clarify, I'm looking at the notes from the minutes, the approved minutes from our April meeting, and the vote that I have recorded is that it was an approval to purchase that specific Mahindra for 28,000 and change, not for 35. So I'm not sure where the 35 number is.
That's what we approved.
Because the trailer was added on.
Yes.
Remember there was a trailer
We didn't vote for that.
to move the trailer? No?
We approved 28,780
Okay,
dollars.
so it's 35.
Just to clarify what we actually.
So, well, Dan, you're gonna.
I think we ought to just let one of these types of machines be purchased by the water company. And in the event that the POA needs a piece of equipment, we can work out an agreement to share the equipment back and forth, because this type of equipment is probably something more necessary on the water side and not such a big purchase for the POA.
You guys have cash to purchase.
It's something that we're looking at already. It's
Are
on
we
the radar.
prohibited from buying it then? Are we in competition with the water company for the piece of equipment?
No, I'm just saying, I don't necessarily see why you would need to go out and spend that kind of money if you're only doing one-off projects here and there.
Okay, hold on. I'm
Hold on,
confused.
so just to clarify, so noted,
You can purchase the machine. I'm
No,
not
I-
interested in this machine at all.
I'm just trying to clarify what is needed at this table today. So do you need our authorization to sell the existing piece of equipment? Or are you looking, like, we approved, I think you need our approval to purchase anything because we previously approved the purchase of a specific piece of equipment, not a general authorization to buy a tractor. So I think if we can go two routes. We can take Dan's point and kind of let this go as a want and kind of sit on it for a bit. Or if we're going to move forward, I think we need to make a more general authorization, a new authorization for spending, because we didn't make a general $35,000 authorization to buy a tractor. We authorized the purchase of a specific tractor. So just as a point of procedure, like, this needs a decision point if we're going to move forward. It can't just be kind of like we let it go.
Right. So somebody would have to make a motion.
I make a motion that we purchase this Coyote.
Okay.
What is she asking for?
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, hang on, just one second, hang on, I wanna.
The oil purchase price? That you said 29,000.
What,
What about the trailer?
Did anybody like verify? Did anybody actually look at this equipment?
In other words, go over it, make
sure
it's,
Wait, hang on, we're gonna
Yeah.
have questions and do the debate on the motion, just a second, I just wanna have clarity on what the motion is. So two things, what exactly is the authorization that you're moving for, Joel? And two, if you would, just identify where funds would come from. If this motion includes the expenditure of additional funds.
okay. Yeah, Nick, how much is the machine?
they have it listed for 30. The price that they told us they would accept is 28.
Okay,
The original funding, just to clarify what we did previously, the original funding in the original motion was to be drawn from the equipment leasing budget line 5201, and the remainder from the transfer and construction fund. That was to keep the transfer and construction draw below the threshold required for a community vote. So this was a split pot originally. So the intention was to zero out the equipment, that 5201 line,
Right.
and to draw any remaining funds from TNC.
and we never drew the one from the TNC, so that's something we have to deal with.
Alright, so Joel, is your motion twofold? Is it to sell the existing
Yes,
machine, use that funding, whatever we get for it? And then,
we put a deposit down while we wait for the sale of the machine. We put a deposit down so that we don't lose it, and we explain that to the owner. And then I would say that we would approve the motion for $100,000.
motion would be for 29,000. Just heard that. Okay, so,
Sorry.
no, I was just gonna
What do
say,
you want a trailer with it too? Does it come with a trailer or
It does not come with a trailer.
not? Okay.
Didn't we just ride the other one on the, I think didn't we decide we didn't need the trailer because you could just take it on the roads? That would be, I think becoming a conversation.
Well, for service, you need a trailer. We did not get a trailer because we haven't had the payment for service yet.
I don't know what the trailer is for that. I have no idea.
Is the motion is going to cover the, are we selling the trailer or are we?
No,
we don't have a trailer,
No, okay.
We're gonna sell the
tractor,
tractor,
existing John Deere,
use that money to pay
with a deposit.
right?
for the new one, and then if will there be a delta? We don't know.
They won't.
Is it contingent on the sale and what we could recoup? Like this motion? That's what I'm
Would
thinking,
it,
yeah.
would it make more sense to take the money right now from contingency?
There's not that much money.
There's 48,000 contingency right now.
We get an appraisal first before we,
Or get it checked over by a mechanic.
well, I'm gonna ask both.
Subject to.
I don't feel like this is fully baked.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And I think also there's honoring Dan's point, I think there's also a conversation to be had, even if we get through the due diligence and the appraisal and all that stuff. I think there's an interboard conversation to be had about what makes more financial sense, because either we're gonna work it one way or the other. Either we're gonna buy it and y'all are gonna rent it likely from us, or you're gonna buy it and we're gonna rent it from you. I think there's it's a mutual board conversation in the spirit of.
and we respect your motion, it just sounds like there are too many contingencies built into
No
it.
problem.
Sarah, you had a question?
I was just wondering about maintenance and getting it looked over by someone and.
Diesel is
Because
like-
if you haven't, if it's a diesel, like, you worry about, engines, filters, hydraulic line, like, that kind of thing, like. I know 162 is it's hours on it, so
I'm
like,
gonna buy one, I don't see why we. buy a Kubota or a John
Yeah,
Deere.
awesome.
These things start out new at $30,000, it looks like,
Yeah.
31,000.
Also,
Okay, so
I'll get with you next, and try.
You withdraw-
work will be done in the
I
background.
would do the motion.
Okay.
Motion's been withdrawn. Okay. Anything else for Nick on the management and maintenance side? Hearing none.
What, creating a new one, list of items to be done, and when they get done, and things like that.
Oh, what do you mean?
I think that was part of your email, I think
Right.
we were gonna defer that to the buildings and grounds.
Okay, okay.
I think was the conversation.
So,
I
yeah,
have a follow- just a quick follow-up question. If we don't have the capacity for the salt for the summer to get it into the bucket, or for the winter to get into the bucket, are we gonna have an issue with any of the maintenance things?
No.
Okay,
And I think that came out of that conversation with our former grounds person.
Mhm.
I think we have a solution for that issue, so it will be okay.
okay.
All right, let's go on to the financial review. Ken, I'm not sure if you or Joel are gonna present the July
I'll do it. I'll
financials.
start it out.
Okay, thanks. But let's do July and then August. And then-
Well, no, let's start where I want to start, if you don't
Okay.
mind, with all due respect. Okay. Nick and I have been talking to the auditors for the last couple of weeks. Be getting familiar with the financials, the numbers, et cetera. And, come to realize a couple of things. What I did was actually, for expediency, efficiency purposes, I wrote a little something here, I'm just gonna read it out. Okay? Because I'd like to have a couple of changes that I think will help BOA. So this month, we're in a transition phase of not only the changing of the treasurer, but also working with the auditors, shifting some of the work they were doing to having me, the treasurer, do the work instead. Needless to say, this will save the POA money. Nick and I have been reviewing reports with the auditors to see which functions can be done in-house. Part of this will entail having the auditors make adjustments to the books on a quarterly basis instead of a monthly basis. The adjustments the auditors make now on a monthly basis are relatively small enough to justify them being made quarterly. I see no reason to pay the auditors a monthly fee only to make minor adjustments that have no material effects on the books. In defense of how this reporting was done in the past, I would have wanted to see a monthly report detailing large amount of expenditures being made for capital projects that were done in the past. For example, the pool and the entertainment. A close watch was needed to ensure there were no mistakes or irregularities in the amount of spending that was being made during this period. I will still be presenting the board with a monthly variance report, but adjustment will be made on a quarterly basis. On another note, in the future, I'll be working with the office and Nick in order to see where we can streamline it, if possible, any tasks or functions currently in place. Okay. Now, another thing I'd like to bring up is the fact that when I was auditing non-for-profits, it wasn't unusual for me, the auditor, to be presented with financial statements that are already prepared, 100% completed. And with the board's approval, don't have to do it right now, just think about it. I can prepare the financials 100%. I can do it on my own. Okay, and then the auditors can review my financials. Now, when I prepare a set of financial statements, the auditors have to check every line item by line item anyway. So if there's anything they think needs to be adjusted or corrected, they're gonna let me know. So it's not like I'm taking over the financials and no one's overseeing it. The auditors will oversee it. But I can see a substantial savings in me doing it, since this is what I've done all my life anyway, is prepare a complete set of financials.
I
Okay,
think
so that's
that's kind of what we were doing on a month-to-month basis, and the accountants, we're already doing it pretty much on the water side, just doing it quarterly.
Well, no, but, okay, so let me clarify. When I do get used to, all the numbers here, okay, it's gonna take a little time, another month or two, before I eventually just want them to come in at the end of the year. They don't have to come in at all. I can give the report as well as they can
Mhm.
quarterly. And I should be, after I'm familiar with everything, explain anything you need to know. And everything will be in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Okay, so when the auditors come in at year end, it's all said and done. They review what I've done, and then they'll give the approval or ask me to look into something. And after any adjustments they want to make, it's all said and done.
I mean, it sounds great on principle, I think you're putting yourself kind of out there at that point, and you're taking on a lot that may not, other people may not.
We could, this is an ongoing process, so I see if it's too much, then I'll say, okay, we'll let them do the financials, but I don't think it's that big of a deal for me to do it. I do it all the time, I have hundreds of these.
Yeah, I'm sure you're more than capable of doing it. I just think that, is it something sustainable? If,
I have the same concern, is the sustainability, which is, let's say we pull out $10,000 or $15,000 from that line item, right? And you're not here in 3 years, or you're not here next year, as you know, whatever the case may be. Then we have to somehow, I mean, I would suggest maybe putting that in a fund of sort, like not eliminating those, I don't, because you're saying I'm not entire, I would.
Well, you know what we can do, let's just for this year, take it step by step, we'll do the initial plan where they'll do it quarterly. I think we were talking, Nick and I were talking about, and I think even Joe was talking about that anyway. And then from there, they'll prepare the financials for this year, because the year's gonna be over soon, and then we can address this next year.
yeah,
Like starting next year.
I think.
But it's
that's
just
fair.
a thought, I'm throwing something out there.
Yeah, no, I think you're more than capable of doing it. It's just, it's an awful lot of.
So would we review financials every month or no, or would we have to wait?
No, we could review, but what I'd like to do, it's another point. When we review the financials, when we go over it, I can write a report. I know Joel was doing it, and it kind of caught me off. I didn't realize Joel was writing a report every month. I thought it was more or less, if somebody had a question, why is this variance off and this variance off, then we could just answer it, Nick and I. I didn't, and then Joel pointed out the other day that he was writing a whole report, you know, with every variance, which to me is unnecessary.
It is,
You think it's unnecessary?
absolutely.
Well, yeah, so what I'm saying is if anyone has a question.
I like it too.
Well, no, but if you like it, I'll do it. I mean, how many like it, how many don't? I mean, if most people like it, I'll do it.
I mean, it's just unnecessary because anybody can read right down the column, read up the report, and then if you have questions pertaining to it, just have invoices, and it's.
We gotta write it up. Or what I can do, if I'm gonna do it, what I'll do, I can do it monthly. I'm gonna export it to Excel, and on the left-hand side have an explanation. Whatever, just line by line, instead of writing just a report, this way you can just draw a line across from actual budget and just look to see what the variance is with an explanation. If you want, I can do that too.
Yeah.
If you feel more comfortable with me doing that, I'll do it every month. Okay, so that's what I'll do.
Okay.
I'd rather everyone feel comfortable than one or two people not feel comfortable.
For me, I just look at it, we pay rent manager, why not use the program software we pay for?
Oh, no, well, we are, but I just export it from Rent Manager, and I just write my own little explanations, instead of writing how Joel's doing now, which is fine, you know, just a report. I would just do line by line, any major variance where you could just go right across and see what the explanation is, you know.
I like that, because the one thing I liked about Joel's reporting is that, yes, you can look down the lines and you can see there's a variance, but it's kind of the why or the what's going on there that I thought was helpful in those
And you know,
explanations.
from my point of view, I'm not an accountant.
Mhm.
I don't know, you know, I'm just seeing the numbers there. And if something catches my eye that I barely can understand it, I'm like, I have my questions, but I don't have an explanation. Could be a little bit more reader friendly.
Full disclosure.
Yeah, you know, just a
Okay.
little bit more to make it a little bit
Okay.
simpler to read.
Just,
Okay, so-
maybe put a target on it, if $1,000 or.
Oh, that's,
15%.
absolutely we'll do that.
Anything over a certain amount.
I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely, but Nick and I went over every line item in July and August, on a Zoom meeting, with the auditors. And every line item is either a timing difference or a reclassification, which Nick was gonna do. There was nothing, out of the ordinary. There was nothing like a mistake or an irregularity or anything like that at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't write the reports for July, August, but I will do it for September, and that's when the adjustments will be made by the auditor. So we'll have that for the September report.
By the accountant, not the ordinance.
Well, that's the auditor, the account, No, there's a Chinese wall between, there's one person that does the accounting and another person. But the same firm, same.
Yeah.
Okay.
The accountant.
Okay.
Go ahead. But So we still have that out of balance issue with the receivables and the pay.
Well, we'll talk about that later. I don't think that's any.
I don't know.
No, we'll get with Nick with that.
What balance issue?
Okay.
It seems there's a report that Joel's been talking about, it's out of balance for a couple thousand, whatever it is, that doesn't match the balance sheets, accounts payable, that doesn't make sense to me, is everything,
I don't.
I mean, I'm not saying he's wrong, I just, when you make a journal entry, automatically, it hits the balance sheet, debit, credit, it has to, either that or, there's.
I would suggest you talk to the outside accountants. I'm sure this has happened in the past.
Okay, so then I'll talk to Kirsten,
Yeah, it's fine.
Monday.
So where does that leave us with our July and August financial reports? Are we able to vote on those to have them posted?
You wanna wait till, yeah, well, either that or we wait till September when I have, well, we went over the reports and we were confident everything was in line. That is Nick, myself, and the auditor. So if you wanna vote on the financial.
Is there any way, I'm so sorry, is there any way that we can table them because we just got them yesterday at 11:14 in the morning.
Let's wait till September. Why don't we just wait till then when I
need to
have,
dissect
But
them
then you're
and
doing a whole
really.
quarter.
yeah, then I'll do the whole quarter and then we can vote on the whole Megillah that way. Wanna do it that way?
Yes, please, I will appreciate it.
Okay. Okay.
If there's a way, just to Dan's point, I realize what I'm about to say creates more work, for a dog, but I think we've had community members here asking questions about, the availability of information, and particularly financial information on the website, and I know our staff has been working on that, but, I think it's tough to sit here as a board and to tell the community, yes, we're gonna regularly update these financials, and then not to do it for 3 months, like, that's a little bit of a gap. For people, like, we do have community members who actually do read this stuff and are following.
I think what you could do is, all you're doing is, from the treasurer perspective, you're just validating what's on the financial statement. And your budget versus actuals, and the board is just approving that that is accurate to the representation. Doesn't change the fact that an auditor or an accountant can come back afterwards and review or revisit that. I think you're just approving whether or not it's going to be displayed. And
Right.
I don't necessarily see the issue with why that would be a conflict.
That's exactly what we vote on is publishing them.
So I motion to publish the July and August 2025 financials to the EGPOA website.
Okay, I'll second that. So that's tab 3 and tab 4 of your board books.
One other thing, yeah, I know you had a question, last night. But can we talk about that, it's just,
It's an estimate.
I'm sorry?
It's just an estimate.
Well, you.
Okay, all right, but I didn't know how to answer it because I'm not as familiar, and Nick said that he knew the answer. We would, talk about that.
You have doubtful income, you account for it in your budget every year.
Right.
What I noticed was we weren't subtracting it on a month-to-month basis. Maybe we're waiting to capture all of it at the end of the year, but it's just zeroed. It should be a negative.
And
It's part of the accruals that the accountants do when they do the adjustments, or adjustments weren't done the last.
No, but we
2 months.
could always divide it. I mean, if we're, I don't remember what this year's budget was, but if we're expecting 7, 15, whatever that percentage is, mathematically put it in there, and then he just takes it out on a month-to-month basis, so that way it gives you a more accurate representation, because if it's not being subtracted, your accrual on your income is higher than what it should be.
Understood that. Can't we do memorized journal entries with this? Can't we instead
I
of?
think they do a little, they just don't take the 42,000 or the 42,000 through August and then divide that by 8 months. I think they look at the actual receivables and then book the difference to the
Right.
receivables.
That's what Kirsten was saying, those are those ones that she does on a monthly basis.
All right, you guys understand Dan's point. Perhaps you can take that to the accountants and figure out how to
Right.
address that.
It's exactly.
1 second, so we have a motion on the floor that's been made and seconded about publishing those financial statements, but let's go ahead.
Sure. So we're publishing them without approving them?
No, we're approving them to be published, but like we normally.
We're gonna
Oh,
ledger report what's been generated.
so we're not gonna table them?
You can make a motion to table the motion.
Well, I kind of did unofficially.
There was no motion on the table. There was no motion to table.
I don't see why we wouldn't just publish them anyway.
Yeah, but you're looking at, I looked at it, Nick did in the auditors, everything's fine, you can take our word for it.
Okay. So-
Anybody can call for, if we had a question or want to over.
And if there's any reconfiguration to be done, that'll be done with the September report, and then we'll have it'll be fixed, but for now, to Chris's point about, you know, we're now 2 months behind or 1 month behind on posting.
I think, are we just saying, are the expenses valid?
Yeah.
And are they accurate to our representation?
Okay,
That's
so
it.
motion's been made and seconded. Anybody got any other questions or debate on the issue?
Can you just clarify what falls under data communication services 5381?
Well, that's a good point that you bring up, Alana, because this is another conversation I've had with Ken
Okay.
and,
The gate.
well, no, I'm gonna go into just a very broad, quick conversation.
Mhm.
One of the things that I'm going to talk to you all about in the budget conversation is we need more buckets in the budget because things fall into things because that's the
Yeah.
closest we have.
Sure.
But if, let me go to data communication.
I know this came up during our budget. Homeowners, and we didn't have it, we had a general answer of like. a lot.
Yeah, so a lot of things, I mean, I'll give you the
Yeah.
unfortunate answer, a lot of things fall into that.
Yes, please.
So, for instance, our GoDaddy for our internet
Yeah.
accounts, our email accounts fall into there, Rent Manager falls into that. Spectrum falls into that for our internet service falls there.
Okay.
Some of our East Tech billing falls into that.
These are things we wanna break out.
Right,
Okay.
so like, we want to start breaking these things out better
Mhm.
and giving them better line items, so that way when you look at a bill, you can see internet service spectrum in its own bucket.
Which is a great segue to the next item on our agenda after we hold this.
Yeah,
vote.
yeah, but yes, that is a thing that I did speak to Ken, and we need to have some better,
Are you asking what
Buckets
the
and
expense was for?
did you have a specific expense?
No, and just because it was, there was a huge variation between like most everything I can kind of see where things fall. That one to me, I know we've had questions like during the budget season about it, and that one seemed to be high, but I know there could be other things in there as well, so I just wanted some clarification. I don't have. for-
Zoom falls into that bucket.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other questions on the July or August?
We collected 5,000, as an escrow fee, I think it's up in miscellaneous income, it's still miscellaneous income, or should we move it over to the balance sheet?
It's still sitting there right now.
Okay, so you might wanna move that over to the balance sheet, because eventually we'll have to pay that back to the guy when he builds his house. So we should recognize it brings in.
Hold on.
As long as they don't commit any violations.
Right, exactly, hopefully they do.
So any other questions on the July or August reporting?
That's just 1 second. I just want to see, give me 1 second. Okay, there were a couple things added to the non-controllable expense line item that hadn't been in previous reports.
What month are you looking?
I'm just looking at your current, I'm looking at July or August. Because usually there's 2 line items under there, 4600 and 9250. Are these just like your amortization expense and depreciation expense? And that was like a huge, are we just pulling that into that line item? I know it gets calculated out on the next page.
You know, I saw that and I asked the auditor for depreciation schedule, because it given me it, so I want to take a look at that. Are you talking about the jump in depreciation?
Those are
Yeah.
adjustments that the accountants added for depreciation.
Yes.
I don't know why it was a jump, like, I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
I asked, Kurt, just give me the depreciation schedule.
Yeah, that's a
That's something that we have to
depreciation.
handle of it, so
Expense
that's
thing.
something that I'm going to be looking at. Kurt.
So there's gonna be a follow-up on that?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
That, a lot
Like I
of
said,
that,
we were pretty thorough when we went over it.
I'm just, it's my job to.
those are monthly depreciation amounts that they added from January through June.
Okay.
In the amount of 25,805.73 a month from January through June.
Which can be on a memorized journal entry, every we can do divided by 12, we know what the depreciation is gonna be. So no one even has to go in manually and do it, that's something else I wanna do. You know something's gonna be divided by 12, just make it a memorized journal entry.
I don't think we need to pay somebody $1,800 a month to do that.
No, that's what I'm saying, you know, I can automate a lot of this. And anyone who follows up from what, after me could do that too.
That's what I
Well,
was
we
trying to
hope,
get at.
but we don't always have somebody.
Well, and then like Alana said, then we could budget
Yeah.
and keep that and then to savings.
Well, that's what I wanna keep in
Right.
mind, well, it's.
Bringing us back now to the July and August reportings. Are there any further questions? And if there are none, maybe please vote. Okay, seeing no other questions. All in favor of publishing the July and August financial reports that are at tab 3 and 4 of your board book? Aye.
Aye.
Any Any opposed? Any recusals, any abstentions?
Abstain.
Two abstentions.
Who else are saying?
I'll abstain too.
Three.
And
It's still.
We don't need to do math on
No.
that. Yeah, okay, it passes. Okay, great. Let's move on to the 2026 operating budget. This is just a discussion of the process and deadlines, actually starting to have that conversation. I just wanted to get, a sense of where we're going, because we need to present this at our, November, hold on.
second annual.
Yeah, our second annual meeting, which would be November 16, is it? Check on the calendar. One moment.
Bylaws is like in the way of that.
Yeah, November 16th will be our second annual meeting, and so I believe we have to publish this 20 days. No, no later than 20 days before. So just backing up into that, we really want to have this out by, say, the 27th
October.
of October. And obviously we publish it electronically, that's fine. So for, I guess it'll be, Ken, Joel, you guys will be taking the lead?
I'm on vacation.
Right, okay. Ken will work with Nick to take the lead in getting the budget together. We have the, what would be October 7th would be the first Tuesday of the month. We could do a board workshop if board members wanted to have their input on what items we want to see in the budget. That sound about right for everybody?
Does that leave time for subsequent town hall? Because we usually do a town hall. Or don't we?
Yeah, I think if we did that and then, you know, Ken and Nick can sort of firm this up between the 7th, and we could do town halls.
So we typically do the town halls after the board.
After it's published, so yeah, so once it goes out, it'll be
The
good.
sequence is board workshops,
Yes.
and if there's a committee can consider a draft, but then special meeting for the board to approve the budget to send to the membership, publication, and then town halls during early November.
Well, if we play our cards right, we don't even have to have a special meeting, we can do it on the 19th at our next regular meeting.
Mhm.
And then, you know, anything that needs to be tweaked in the meantime, we can even send it out on the 20th, great. I'm just saying 27th is our absolute drop dead, and we need to make sure we get it out. Okay, so Nick, Ken, that leaves you guys sufficient time?
Yep.
Okay, and board members, just note, I think it'll be October 7th, at 7 PM will be our Zoom workshop. We'll have our
October
opportunity.
7th, you said?
Yeah, it's first Tuesday.
Just a drop deadline, I just note that, this is a minor point, I'm sorry for spending time on it. There's usually like 48 hours of rassum of between the board vote to approve and getting all of the documents ready to send out to the communities. Safe side, I would say even like 10/25 is like a safe deadline, because
Okay,
I just remember.
that's fair.
I remember the last time we did this, there's multiple times where some of us have been up late at night trying to fix things and get them ready for prime time, and we just want to make sure we have the breathing space to get accurate information out.
That's fair, because we do, so just for the community members, when you get the budget every year and you have those notes that are in them, there's a human behind each and every one of those notes. That's either checking them, going over them, trying to match them to the numbers. To Chris's point, it's, there's a lot that goes into the document in the couple of days before. Really, really good point. So
So the Zoom meeting on October 7th is
Yep.
at what time?
7 PM.
For a regular workshop.
Yeah, it's just our regular board workshop. That'll be our opportunity. So by, you know, let's say the 6th or even earlier, Nick and Ken, if you can have just sort of a rough draft that we can all look at and have input on, and
Would that include the personnel? Need to.
yep. Well, and security, I suppose it's fair to announce that,
I'm gonna be out of the country, I just wanna.
Okay.
Yeah, no way that you can get a hold of me, but.
yeah, security is something that this board's gonna have to work on, and what we're gonna do. Our security provider, has given us notice that they're not gonna renew, as of January 1st. It's fine, we were sort of planning that eventuality anyway, but, they made their decision too, so that's fine. But yeah, personnel, security, all the goodies. Okay, all right, let's go on. Water company. Mr. Brumbaugh.
So, we had our meeting on the, 17th, which was Wednesday. We reviewed a lot of updates, did our water testing report, talked about the lake health, and, you know, a lot of the dialogue around, phosphate and phosphorus levels in the lake. We talked about, maintenance and repair updates, of which we approved a expense of about 30, what was it, 30,000 and change, to repair and replace 3 valves on the 3 filters inside the water plant. We're still waiting on, bond issuance and updates from the bond council. So that's still a work in progress. Our engineers and, contractors are waiting for all of that to get completed. As you're all aware, we did have a boil advisory in August, which we reviewed was due to a loss of pressure coming out of the water plant. So we updated the public on that. We reviewed our financials. Quick review here is total income year to date, 511,000 versus 420,000 the year before. Big change is our net operating income. At this point last year, we were operating in a deficit, $77,000 deficit. Whereas this year we have an operating income of $36,000 year to date. So it's pretty much where we're at.
Questions for Dan?
That because of.
There's a lot. There's a lot of changes to rate case, updates to maintenance and repairs, expense controls from Nick. There's been a lot of changes that we've been implementing along the way.
Are you still on the same time trajectory with the bond? You just gave us a bond update, said it's still in process. I think 2 meetings ago you said February would be a possible start time of this year, and then maybe work finished by spring of 2027. Is that still on track?
I'll be able to give you a date on that.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Dan? All right, hearing and seeing none, let's go to the next item, which is our committees. So our board held a workshop to kind of go through this, but we've come up with our 2025-2026 committee structure. And the thinking was, you know, we had an oversight committee that met perhaps not often enough. We had other committees like Chris and I co-chaired the strategic planning and finance committee, also didn't really meet often enough. And so it just seems that we have had some committees that could sort of combine together. And so we're going to go with the following committees, and we'll put out an announcement as we do every year. We'll put out an announcement to membership along with a Google form for members of the community who want to sign up and be a part of these committees. Obviously, things like the Lakes Committee, which is not changing at all, it is something folks can sign up for. So what we're going to have, we have the bylaws committee. I'll talk about that in a second. That's established by our bylaws. We have an events and welcoming committee that Alana and Chris have co-chaired, I think going on 2 years now. Sorry?
I said, bless you.
We'll continue that. They'll continue as the co-chairs of that. I gather that the folks who volunteer for that committee would like to sign up for and continue to be on that committee. We also have the Lakes Committee, and as we did at our meeting that followed the annual meeting on August 17th, Mark Becker is chairing that committee with Joel Cohn as a co-chair. And they've already had, I don't know, 2 or 3 meetings, right, Mark? And you guys are off and running and doing a great job, and we're going to hear from Mark in a moment. So coming to the thought of oversight and what was the strategic planning and whatever it was called, the committee, we're going to do a buildings and grounds committee that I've asked Alana to chair. The buildings and grounds committee will be everything that's not lakes. So think of it like the Lakes Committee on land. It'll be the entertainium, the pool committee, that's another one. We had that a bit out of necessity, from prior management that we've now collapsed into this buildings and grounds. They'll look at everything from our rules for the gym, safety, aspects. They'll develop, proposals for capital improvements and repairs. Think the compost yard or the boat storage area, those things that were always kind of a bugaboo for the oversight committee, that's all going to now be under the buildings and grounds. They'll also assist with vendor evaluations and help to develop our, I hesitate to call it security plan, but our security and maintenance plan for the buildings, which previously we were looking at having sort of a building attendant in each of the buildings. I'm not saying that's what we're doing. That's a proposal that would come from the Buildings and Grounds Committee. That, I think that's enough on that. Finance Committee, we're gonna return to the traditional Finance Committee that will be chaired by Ken Coder. And that's to provide oversight of the budget, the operating budget and planning, including capital planning. So for both long-term and short-term capital goals, they'll, do the long-term planning and reserve studies. They'll work with the operating and capital budgets. They'll review the transfer fee and other non-dues income, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, and they'll also be responsible for designating a subcommittee that will continue to attack our ARs and make sure that we're collecting on our dues, consistent with our collection and foreclosure policy. And then finally, we have a joint oversight committee, which is with the water company board, where we will work together in how we evaluate the roles of the staff, and deal with anything, hopefully never have to, but deal with anything HR related or that would come out of any disputes there. This replaces the what had been our HR committee, which was a board member only committee. And so under the framework that was agreed at a special meeting, I don't remember if it was in June or May or when, August. Sorry, the POA will designate 2 members, and I'm going to designate myself and Chris for that those positions. And then the water company board Dan will designate 2 people for the water company side.
While we're on that topic, might as well just go out and I'll designate myself and Alex to be counsel for that.
Awesome. Perfect. I think that's
So
gonna
there's
be
only gonna be 4 members of the oversight committee.
yeah, joint oversight is 2 members of each of the boards. Yeah.
That's by agreement.
Yep. And I think that's gonna be a nice cohesive group.
What happens if there's a tie?
I break it. No.
It's not it's an advisory committee, Joel, there's a simple answer to your question. It's an advisory committee, so this is designed to deal with HR issues, and per the agreement, both companies have final say over their staffing decisions, so if we had a dispute, we just go back and advise our respective boards that, hey, we can't quite come to an agreement on that.
It's a roadblock remover, not a cudgel.
With the cutoff.
So there's only 5
Alex,
committees altogether. Lakes, bylaws, events,
There's 6.
oversight, building, and finance.
6.
Bylaws, events, lakes, buildings and grounds, finance, and the joint oversight committee, 6 committees.
Which one was the other one?
Bylaws, events, lakes, B&G, finance, and the joint oversight committee.
Why am I only counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Yeah, 6, I'm sorry.
Is Alana gonna be responsible for the community, how it looks and so forth?
We'll put it under there.
Every day.
It's like all. Want to join me?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, all complaints, please. It's
Don't say that.
iCalvin@emeraldgreenpoa.com. Sorry, Lon.
Uh,
All right, so let's go on to the couple committees that we've previously established that have updates. Lakes. I don't know why I made a mistake in our board book here, guys. I see T Gaines co-chair, but anyway, it's Mark Becker, Joel
I'm
Cohen.
still assisting.
Okay. Mark, if you want to give your report of the 2 meetings that you had and then present the proposal that you have as well from your committee. I'll turn it over to you.
Sure, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank, we had 5 committee members join our Lakes Committee on the last meeting, and I want to thank everybody for that, because what's been going on with the lakes needs immediate attention. The best treatment for the lakes is going to resemble a health plan rather than a bandage. The effective lake management plan will include immediate actions as well as long-range watershed approaches that will combine both preventative and remedial options. A comprehensive management plan charts a course to identify causes and sources of the problems, and of course, a plan to implement solutions to the problems. A management plan must be revisited on a regular basis to keep it viable as the lake conditions and people's expectations change. The success of the plan will be measured by a degree to which people and actions work together to solve the conflicts, protect the lake, and prevent future problems. The Lakes Committee has been subdivided into committees, including plantings, which are to help with runoff, aeration, fountains. We spoke about removing the Phragmites. We talked about drawing down the lakes in the wintertime, which I want to talk to Nick about. And we also spoke about benthic mats, which require no permits, but do require maintenance yearly in order to remove them and clean them and put them back into the lake. All of these things that we're talking about are going to require money. So with that, I really can't make any proposals on that yet until I see the budget. But I will draw attention. I sent out this morning, I hope everybody got it. I created a group called the EGPOA board, and it automatically sends out to all of you on the board. So I hope you all got that this morning. It has the recommended 2019 operating budget. And I'd like to draw attention that in 2019, the operating budget for 2018 was $90,000 for the lakes. Okay, that was, and then 2019 projected budget for those lakes were $56,500. Right now, the lakes are operating on a $15,000 yearly budget, which is a fraction of what we used to give for the Lakes Committee. So I just want to draw that attention before drawing up our October 7th workshop meeting, that I will be asking for a significant increase in order to do these projects. Another project we spoke about, which I forgot, is putting carp back in. And I know that there was a problem putting the carp in with the DEC because our dam was too low. But there are options that we can do to fix the dam that are very cost effective, like putting in bars across the dam. It sort of looks like a gate, and they're a certain distance apart, and it would stop the carp from going over the dam rather than raising the dam. So with that, I was also going to ask, before we move on to what I want to take a vote about, is the weed machine budget. Is that going to come out of the lakes? Is that going to come out of capital reserve? How would you fund for that?
What do you mean? We've already bought it.
I understand, but talking about maintenance.
Staffing.
I think that goes under our regular maintenance and personnel, but I don't know.
I would think so.
I don't
I'm
know.
just bringing it up because maybe no one thought about it, that's all.
Yeah, leave it to Ken and Nick to talk about it and present it in a draft for us to look at.
Okay,
I could just,
just wanted to bring it up.
Yep.
So the subcommittees on the lakes are working on the different areas that I proposed to you just now. And they all report back. This way everybody has some boots on the ground and everybody's responsible for something on the Lakes Committee. I also sent out to Chris the people who wanted to be voting members. Did you get that, Chris?
Did.
Okay, when do we vote on that? When do I hear about that?
You can make a motion right now if you wish, or we can wait until we've collected all signups and take a vote, take one vote, but it's up to you. You can make a motion right now to approve them.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve them and also to amend that motion in case I want to add someone. Is that okay?
You can just make a regular motion to approve members to a committee. We can have a separate motion later, but I need you to read out the names out loud, please.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion. Obviously, Joel and I vote. I want to make a motion for Anthony Iannuzzi. I want to make a motion for Brad and Marcy as one vote since they're a couple. And I'd like to make a motion for Ken and Eileen as a couple for one vote.
So for Joel, Joel's the chair, so that doesn't require.
Right. I just said, Joel and I vote, so the rest of them,
Yeah.
what I said, yes.
Okay, I'll second that, Mark. So does anybody have any questions or concerns on that?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
They would have, vote rights, but we as would have the ultimate.
Correct.
say.
Any proposals from the committee will come to the board.
Committee has also been reviewed.
Right, this is just
Preliminary vote.
what we bring to the board, and then the board has the final decision, that's all.
Okay, so any other board member questions or concerns on those names to become voting members of the Lakes Committee? Hearing none, all in favor?
Is there other members on the Lakes Committee?
Yeah, they're just not voting members.
Anybody can
And-
attend.
and-
the
You
meeting.
have about a dozen members.
And this doesn't preclude people from signing up for the Lakes Committee and wanting to become voting members. You can totally do that. Mark's just identified these people who are, in his estimation, gonna be contributing, and therefore.
What was
to
the,
the voting
what was the head count?
Could I ask one question, just one question on it?
Wait,
Okay, did I understand this right, that the budget for the lakes was down to 15,000?
I don't know. I don't know.
I-
We'll come back.
Somebody shake
We're in
their
the,
head.
I know,
Mark,
Mitch, hang on
yeah.
a second. We're in the middle of a voting on.
Oh.
Gonna focus on this. Any other questions on those names that Mark has put forward to be?
It was 4 or 5.
It's three community member votes, so it's, the Iannuzzi household, well, it's Anthony Iannuzzi, Brad and Marcy has one vote per household, and then Ken and Eileen.
That's one. Okay,
So we're adding three voting,
so,
votes to the.
Plus the two board members.
right,
Five, so there's five.
It's not part of the motion, it's the president's privilege to appoint the chairs of the committee. So Joel and Mark are already.
yeah, the vote. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I am.
Any recusals? Any abstentions?
Can I,
Hang on.
Why you're,
Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Ken, go
can
ahead.
I ask why you're opposed, any input?
I don't know that setting this type of a framework is successful but I'll keep that to myself.
I think just to clarify for the community, under the bylaws, the president, with the exception of the bylaws committee itself, which is a standing committee in the bylaws, the president establishes the committees and has the prerogative to appoint the chairs of each committee, one of whom must be a board member. All other voting members of any committee must be approved by majority vote of the board. Anybody at this table can make a motion to approve members to any committee, and that can be subject to a board vote. Just so people understand, who are in the orchestra seats at home, can understand kind of how this process works. So this is the way the bylaws stipulate that this goes down, when we vote to approve voting members to a committee. That doesn't mean anybody in the community can attend any committee meeting. This is about any vote that a committee might take on any particular advisory issue.
Okay,
The people who just voted on are the people who expressed interest in voting. So that's why I brought them up, and they are people who are always at the committee and are always volunteers.
and so we voted to approve them. So Mark, I'll turn the floor back to you to finish your report and any other proposals.
Okay, yes. I'd like to, the committee has spoken about a number of different proposals, but the main proposal I'm bringing up today is a complete ban on fertilizer and, in quote, toxic pesticide ban for 3 years. because of what's going on with the runoff into the lake. Now, all lakes go through a natural algae bloom. This is not going to stop it. But with all the things that I spoke about, we can mitigate it. So I'm looking for a 3-year on the fertilizer and toxic pesticides, because there are pesticides that can be used that are non-toxic. If you see a sign outside of people's lawns and it says stay off for 24 hours, that's not something we want in our lakes. But there are pesticides that are totally organic, that use tree oils, that can do the same thing. And you can actually be out on your lawn while these things are sprayed. Your dogs will be fine, you'll be fine, the children will be fine. And so that's why I specifically put in the word toxic. So I'm looking to ban this for 3 years to see how it improves the lake and then return to it.
Okay, so I'm hoping you, yeah, I'm sure there are gonna be a lot of questions, and so I wanna shepherd this process through a little bit. I would note, just one thing, and maybe this is my own view, but, as a process point, since we only just a moment ago approved the voting members of the Lakes Committee, Mark, is this a proposal you're putting forward based on a discussion with the committee, but the committee obviously couldn't have formally voted on it, right?
Well, we didn't have the members that were voting until today, but I did ask, if you review the video, how many people were in favor of this by a show of hands. So, and that was everybody that was on the Lakes Committee, whether you had voting rights or not.
Okay, good. I appreciate that color. So it's kind of a straw poll-ish thing. Yeah, Dan, I'll recognize you.
Yeah, I was on both of those meetings and maybe I missed that part, or maybe is that when I got off? Towards the end of that meeting? Because I was on both and I don't recall there being a straw poll or a vote.
There wasn't a vote. I just said, all I said to everybody, would anybody be opposed to a full ban? And one person, Neil from Lake Louise Marie, he had an objection to the pesticide ban. And then I came up with a toxic pesticide ban, only using tree oils. And then on the video, Nick said, oh, if we could do that, that's fine, because he has a lot of ticks. And I explained to him that the non-toxic would also take care of the ticks.
I don't know that makes a formal.
Well, so I was just gonna say, it is the prerogative of the chair of any committee to put forward to the whole board. I'm just pointing out where the process is, because I'll tell you, Mark, just giving you my own view, I'm not sure where 3 years comes from. I'm not sure this has been fully vetted enough.
Okay, so
Where I could support, hang on just a second. I think 3 years is a long time. I think all fertilizers is broad. I think that's gonna potentially, what I'd wanna think about is the potential blight that might leave if people can't, feed their lawns for 3 years. Are we gonna have crappy looking properties that then affect property values? And toxic, non-toxic pesticides, I guess I'd need a little bit more color around that. So that's just my view, and something I would like to see a little bit more expert thought from committee members going into that.
I anticipated that you were going to say that.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Hang on, Dan's got his hand up first.
Let me
but
just
I think
finish.
Mark wants to respond.
Let me just,
Yes.
I anticipated you were going to say that, or someone on the board was going to say that. So when you ask for something, you ask for the world, and then you negotiate down as a good negotiator. All right, so I asked for the world first and see what sticks to the wall. So anticipating that you guys were going to say that, I know Dan, who was on the committee meeting, had also recommended, and I spoke to Joel about this, he had also recommended people getting permits that would have to be looked at to see that what they're putting down on their lawn was satisfactory to the board. That was recommended by Dan. I thought that was a very good recommendation, but that was going to cause a lot of extra work for the office if everybody had to go for a permit. Another option that I will bring up is only using fertilizer that has zero phosphates in it. But if you use fertilizer with zero phosphates in it, those fertilizers still have nitrates in it. Okay. And the nitrates aren't so bad as long as you use an organic and as long as it's slow to seep into the ground. And they have those. I spoke to Joe Russo, and he has switched over right now to zero phosphates, organic, slow implementation into the ground. So those are three other options that I'll bring up, anticipating that you were going to say that to me.
Dan, you had your hand up and then Ken.
Originally I shared a drafted proposal that I put up on a phosphorus ban. I know that we're looking for language that may be baked or has a little bit more credence. A lot of thought went into what I proposed to this board, I guess it was over a month ago now. And there's a lot of counties, Nassau, Suffolk, a lot of waterway sharing communities that have enacted similar strategies to reduce phosphates. I think what Mark, and I respect, Mark's position, but I think what Mark may be asking is a bit more than asking for the world. That might be asking for the entire galaxy at this point, because I don't think it's fair to tell homeowners you can't use anything at all. When we don't even have some of that same guidance under waterways and land masses that are in reservoirs, like that. This is that's a lot. So I think that the phosphorus ban touches on everything we're looking to do. And if we want to add more to that, and also in the proposal that I drafted is a ban on fertilizer use during specific timeframes of the year. It gives you a date to and an end date for fertilizer use altogether. And then we also have the ability to add buffer zones if we want to do such things, but I get that we want to act and react now. So my suggestion would be to work towards the phosphorus ban as the initial subject matter for us to get the wheels moving here.
Ken?
My exterminator, he comes in once a month to spray the ticks. He uses cedar oil, and from what he told me, we didn't get deep into the conversation, but there's a ban, you can't use anything but non-toxic pesticides within a certain distance of the lakes anyway. So I think that's a town of Thompson rule or Sullivan County rule, just to let you know. So at least that's the beginning of, restrictions.
The DEC also has restrictions on not using fertilizers or phosphorus and fertilizers unless it's a brand new lawn, and that doesn't get adhered to either. I mean, that's been.
That doesn't what?
You cannot use phosphorus fertilizers after it's first, you lay down your lawn. You're not supposed to use anything other than that time period. And that's been since 2010.
So in other words, people now are breaking the law if they use.
Absolutely.
So, well, then, what we're saying is we're just trying to reinforce a law that's already there.
No, we're actually we're adopting it. And then we need to add the framework on how we violate that. How does that work? And that's what I'm saying.
Gentlemen, that's where I was going to go next. Once we all make a decision on how we're going to handle that, my next thing to bring up was going to how we're going to enforce it. And
Alex?
what are the consequences going to be when we find out that somebody's breaking the rules, as in all HOA matters?
Is there any way that we could just have a list of those to the people that have their loans done? Like I don't do any of myself, other people do their things, but I do have companies that come over and take care of my lawn. So I do remember that they put something on the grass and it's down or whatever. But at least you could have an idea, these companies have an idea.
Alex, that's a great point. That's a great point, Alex. One of the committees that we have has to do with education. And we're talking about sending out newsletters, monthly newsletters, things like that to inform the community of the things that you just spoke about. But recently, I have been sent pictures. I have them on my phone. I don't think I need to share them with you, but anyone is welcome to see them, especially along Lakeshore Drive South, of those yellow signs with the pesticides, stay off our lawn for 24 hours. And like Ken said, he uses the tree oils. Now, even though you can't go close to the lake with these oils and stuff, but you can with the oils, there is runoff. And that's the problem, is the runoff. And I mean, there's even runoff from your roof, and you can get water barrels to collect those runoffs, but I'm not suggesting that right now because I know I have to bring to the board slowly, little things at a time, because I can't bring too much. So if I can get little teeny wins slowly but surely to help our community, that would be the Lakes Committee's goal. But we do.
Can I ask Mark?
What?
Chris, I'll let you finish, sorry. Chris, go ahead. Can I ask, Mark, have you reviewed this proposal with management? Does this, do we have kind of management buy-in on this?
I don't know Nick's position. Nick was on all my meetings.
Well, we need to come up with the enforcement components of this, and it's still kind of has to be fleshed out a little bit.
I'd like to just add to that, if I can interrupt, thanks.
Sure,
I have the
absolutely,
same concern,
please.
just, I wanna, mirror Chris's question over here, which is, it's at the idea phase right now. I would like to see a plan with Nick's input, whether or not this is enforceable with the current staff that we have. Does this contribute to any increases in the budget? And how is that education component? Because without those things in the proposal to us, it's not fully baked. I like the idea. I like Dan's idea of what to focus on. But I think this is a time to now go back to the committee with that structure and to meet with Nick before it comes back to us. Because I need to hear those three things before I can say yes to anything. You know, I'm a fan of this idea. I think Dan's framework is a little bit more helpful, more in the universe, less in the gallon, you know, kind of thing. So, but is it enforceable? What does Nick say? I think we need that.
I think we can do that in a reasonable amount of time. I think we're also at the point in which we're, you know, we still have time to get this in place before spring, which will be our next real heavy fertilizer season.
Well, you're gonna get full fertilizer now.
I don't know necessarily that we can get this all worked out and in place before fall fertilizer season, so I think that's not without dollars to enforce it realistically.
Was there anything that the phosphorus ban that I originally shared, is there anything preventing us from, or any board members that are opposed to that?
I'm opposed to certain components of it.
I'm not opposed to the ban, Dan. I think
You're-
the enforcement procedures were needed to be vetted.
As a lakefront homeowner as well, I think that the proposal doesn't comport with the runoff law. In other words, I think the proposal, as I read it, and maybe we're intending to amend it, I don't know, was that there would be no fertilizer within, I think, 20 to 25 feet of a waterway, period.
Mhm.
But the New York runoff law allows for two exceptions. One, if you have, I think it's a 15-foot, I have it right here, actually. 10-foot buffer of shrubs, trees, and other plants. Well, most people don't have that. Or you have fertilizer that can be applied no closer than 3 feet from the water with a device with a spreader guard, which is actually what I have. I do my own fertilizing. It's zero phosphate, trust me. But it has the guard, so none of that stuff gets anywhere near the lake. So just little tweaks like that. And I think you had proposed November 1st to a different date, and the runoff law is December 1st, April 30th. I don't really care. I don't think people are gonna be out there in cold of November, but maybe what do I know? So those are the kinds of things that I was, and
Yeah, I
then the
wasn't
enforcement
planning-
piece is a little tricky too.
One
Bob,
percent
hang
of
on, hang on, Bob.
The green
sign, the yellow
signs you're talking about is is True Green. Have you contacted them? Because I use True Green and they tell me they do not use phosphate.
We'll come back to that. but
Yeah,
Okay.
let's come back to that. So
I-
those are the issues I had with the proposal at the time, but it wasn't going anywhere, so like,
I would agree with you,
Yeah.
and it wasn't written exactly like the runoff law for those reasons, because we obviously drink our water, so I was trying to put a
Yeah.
little more teeth to it than what the runoff law, to what Ken's point was.
yeah, I'll just, since you asked, I was
And
explaining.
I'm perfectly fine with that, so I mean, if we wanna move forward on something like that, maybe we just go back to that and put in what philosophy
Which would be your prerogative to make a motion and then.
we would
just-
like to see, if you want, if there's changes to that language that you would like to see to make that more appetizing for members, then we can do that too.
Chris, you had something to say? Okay.
I mean, there's a Lakes Committee meeting in 9 days. Maybe the best course of action is to connect with Mark, suggest some changes. Bring it back, and if we need to have it at the next meeting, I think we could still implement it. And then we can work out the enforcement procedures, and if there's any permitting, licensing, whatever we have to do.
No, I would like to have some open dialogue on what members would like to see, if that was.
So what I've heard in this, just to synthesize what I've heard in this meeting, is that no opposition to the principle of a ban, but to number one, make sure that whatever the HOA is imposing complies and does not exceed, or complies with and does not exceed existing
State law.
state law. I've heard requests to have a fuller consideration of any kind of staffing and staffing impact and additional costs, and as a third piece, to if there's going to be a kind of an education piece to this, that be more fully fleshed out. But I think the first two are from a board perspective, the first two are by far and away most important, to align it clearly with, align the ban and the enforcement with law, and to make sure that we understand how much any ongoing costs associated with enforcing this. Does that match what other board members have said?
That's pretty succinct.
Good job.
So Dan, you'll take that back to the Lakes Committee at the next meeting? And
Sure.
then now that they have voting members, you guys can consider and come with a plan that addresses all of those pieces, and then we can just. That's a vote.
I think if we go back to when we got our report from Princeton. Correct, I think there was a figure of how much it would cost to maintain and do all these things to our lakes. Maybe you go back and take a look at that number. Well, we know it well.
Good point. Mark, will make sure you have that Princeton Hydro report in hand that Alex was. Okay. All right.
I have a question. I'm sorry, it's Beverly.
Hey, Beverly, yeah, go ahead.
So I'm definitely in favor for the no phosphorus and no pesticides. So I'm just wondering, before our next board meeting, so that it can really be set in stone, are we having another workshop meeting that occurs after the Lakes Committee meeting?
We do on October 7th. And while that's tentatively gonna focus on the operating budget.
Yeah.
We can bring this up if you like.
Maybe if we could just add it, not as like something to go deep into the weeds too, but if you guys have your Lakes Committee meeting before our workshop meeting, maybe that's just another opportunity for us to really become very cohesive by the time we get to our next board meeting, so that it's literally just a vote. That's all.
Yeah.
Next Lakes Committee is September 30th, so that works fine.
Great. Okay, great.
One more thing, I just want to be clear,
Yes.
when I go back to the Lakes Committee, we are looking not at a total ban, but more of a phosphorus ban. So that's, I can bring that up to the committee. Is that what the board is leaning toward?
That is the sense I'm hearing from folks, but I would respectfully defer over to Dan, since he's sort of carrying that proposal in a way that we just discussed. So yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And the Princeton Hydro report did touch on specifically phosphorus.
Yes, it did.
Not necessarily nitrogen and other things.
Okay.
And I don't see the part with a cost associated with maintaining the lake in the report.
Okay, well,
But there was one question I had that Mark was touching on before.
go ahead.
He said that the original budget was $56,000 for the lakes in 2018 and 19.
Mhm.
How much of that 56,000 was the reserves?
I was gonna say, the line item may be different than,
35,000?
Let me tell you, we used to.
So the actual budget was
Yeah.
20,000.
Chili geese and all that
Yeah.
stuff, take them off the lake and so forth. When I
There's a
lived
lot
on
of
the lake,
stuff
I was
in that.
very active in it.
So if,
I don't live on the lake anymore.
if the reserves was 35,000 of that 56,000, and your actual budget was 20,000.
the lake maintenance is in there and so is the dam. So it's
It's not,
It's
it's
not
not an accurate representation. of
correct,
what
because
we
those
were-
line items are kind of moved around in other places. They just don't.
So we didn't kill the budget.
No.
We can do that as an offline too with Mark, Ken and
No,
I,
I just,
Joel.
Okay,
I
I'm being mindful of the time. I think good. Got it. Mark, you good?
One more thing, there was also a line item for grass cart, which was $10,000 in that year's budget, with $5,000 being picked up by the water company. So I just want to, show you that also, that I don't even know if the carp even went in that year. I wasn't around. I don't know the answer to that. I'm just reading off the line items.
Mark, it sounds like what I'm hearing is that you want to prioritize lakes oriented spending for the next budget season. I think the board has heard that point and we can move that to workshops as we start to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just bringing it up now ahead of time. And the last thing I want to mention, the last thing I just want to mention is a reminder to Nick, because on the first committee, we talked about, he was supposed to look up, I know we have time to do this, Nick, but I just want to make a reminder to you to look up how much used docks were going to cost in order to pursue the long-term dock leasing.
Of course, Mark, you got it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mark. Moving on to bylaws. Bylaws did not have a meeting, but we do have one open seat for an EGPOA board member. Both Leslie and Sarah have expressed interest in that, so it requires that we vote on that. And
Which committee?
this is for bylaws. Chris?
I motion to approve Sarah Satz to the bylaws committee.
Okay, is there a second?
One second.
Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
oh, I'm saying we only have one seat.
There's only one seat, yeah. So the motion was to appoint
How
Sarah.
many members can there be? Is there a?
There could be up to, yeah, I'll pull it up, but it can only be up to 3 board members, I believe, including me, including the president. Hang on, give me 1 second, I'll pull it up exactly.
Joel, did you second?
I did. Hang on 1 second. Okay. The Bylaws Committee shall have up to 9 members. The president of the board shall serve on the committee along with up to 2 other current board members who may be removed and replaced by the board at any time. While it may be desirable for non-board members to include professionals who have had experience with bylaws and contracts, either professionally or in the context of personal experiences, this will not be a requirement for service on the committee. So Dan still holds one of those up to 2 other board member seats. And then obviously the president of the board has to serve on that committee as well. So there's 1 open seat currently. And so the motion Chris made that Joel seconded was to appoint Sarah. So.
I don't even know if you needed it. I mean, you could just appoint anyways, right?
So actually it says that, yeah, it's not super clear that the board needs to approve it. It's just as a who may be removed and replaced by the board at any time. I don't know if that really means the board needs to approve. I'd be more comfortable.
Yeah, it was never the, that you had to approve, and it was never a number that we adhere to for years. That's why we had, how many members we had last year?
Yeah, we don't have the non-board members, certainly, I think we only have two. So if we can get other non-board members, that would be great. I don't know, this was the thing that passed.
Included that, I don't know. I don't know that we went over that.
Why can't we have more board members? What's the reason?
It's restricted by the bylaws.
But what's the reasoning? I give you, it's restricted.
So-
Five or whoever wants the more the merrier.
Having been around at the time that this was drafted, the reasoning of those who were not board members who put this forward was that they didn't basically they wanted this to be a check on the board as opposed to a place where if board members had questions about the bylaws or somebody else wanted to see changes in the bylaws, that it wouldn't just be dominated by the board, which theoretically has an interest in not changing the rules of the game. So they didn't want it to be dominated by board members, and that was the discussion. and that was
Can
the
a
reason.
board member be just a?
In other words, they
No,
get demoted just for that committee, so they can't vote as a board member.
I might
No.
suggest that this was a well-intentioned bylaws change at the time, and that this is not working out perhaps as well as hoped in practice, but nonetheless, this is the rule.
No, actually,
I
I'm
would
in favor of it, I just didn't realize that there wasn't that low of a count, but that's fine.
Personally,
You don't
like
wanna
that.
make it too top heavy, Ken, I mean, you could change the.
I think everybody who wants to volunteer.
We also
Um,
don't want to form board members on.
well, I guess that was the concern, that was, Robert Dover's concern at the time.
You always change a bylaw, bylaws.
Yeah, well, then that requires the bylaws committee to meet, which means members. Can we just vote, Sarah? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any recusals? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
One abstention, hearing none. Congrats, Sarah. Okay. The truth of it is the bylaws committee hasn't met much, and we surveyed before the last annual meeting, a couple of months before, if we wanted to do a meeting and see if anybody had any changes.
We have a couple of things.
And, yeah, but I assume we'll have something in the future, but in any event, there wasn't. I don't expect it to be an overly active committee.
You're gonna
Put it
have
that
an
way.
extra fee to work through, so you're gonna have.
Okay.
So who are the board members for the bylaws committee as of right now?
Patrick, Dan, and Sarah.
There you go.
Patrick, Dan, Sarah.
PDS.
It's TV. All right, events and welcoming, tab 7 of your board books, is a report out from that board members, but, Alana, Chris, would you like to just very briefly?
Yeah, we had a meeting on the 28th, just some upcoming things that you can look forward to. There'll be a fall weekend of sorts in October. October 18th in the evening, there's gonna be a community run potluck again at the clubhouse along with karaoke singing. And then following our board meeting on the 19th, patients still TBD, we'll talk about that, whether it's gonna be at the clubhouse or by the pool. It's really events for all ages and the whole family. There's gonna be music, the Treasure Mountain Band, which recently performed in Ellenville. From 2 to 5 p.m. There'll be pumpkin painting for kids, there'll be fall snacks, and there's gonna be some add-ons to that event as well, but 2 to 5. So if you're here for the meeting, stay.
What day is the event? Saturday, probably?
Saturday is the potluck in the evening, and then Sunday is also an event from 2 to 5. That's also fun. So a whole
We're gonna
weekend.
dump them the Treasure Lake band while they're here.
That's right.
Okay, questions for Alana on events? Hearing none, all right, we're gonna go to our member homeowner.
I'm sorry,
Sure.
events and welcoming. That was events. What about welcoming?
I have not really, when I came in, welcoming was kind of paused, but I don't know if that got taken out. Christie can want to add color to that.
I think it originated when we came on, when I was first elected to the board, board members wanted to reinitiate a welcome committee. We tried to run that as 2 committees for 1 year, as Patrick noted. I think our appetite for the number of committees exceeded our capacity to manage those committees. Over time, we've had less member interest in sustaining the efforts of that committee. You're welcome to attend the meeting and reinitiate that.
No,
Just go ahead.
touch on that, I think that's actually where I was gonna go, maybe that we don't wanna separate it, maybe you just keep it together. I'm reminded that we used to have, like a package that we would bring
Yep.
to,
They did do that.
and
With
They-
members from the business.
would the events committee be opposed to allowing Leslie to chair that side of the committee, like maybe be a welcomer?
She looked
Not our
for it.
decision to make, it's,
Oh,
I mean,
well.
Leslie, like I said, if you wanna show up to a meeting and run point on that, I'm more than happy to defer. to
A
you.
welcome package probably would be a good thing for
That's
people.
what we used to do.
Just so you know, Carlos and
Alright,
Chris did that, and no, I just looked through your stuff in your basement.
Yeah,
It's
thank
all from 2020 and 21 when they did it, and they provided wine and things like
I think
that.
what happened, COVID. put it
COVID put it
Oh,
in
yeah.
there. So
That's what happened.
there was a framework for that, but again, you have to remember, I don't think people actually even can truly appreciate this. Events is all volunteer, so when you see an event, it's homeowner time, it's committee time that goes and runs that. We don't have like a skeleton staff who comes in on the weekends.
It's not like an activities director, there was at
Correct.
one time,
So-
I think, many years ago.
Yes, and
somebody
it was a
doing
paid
it.
position, but that has long been gone, so, you know, the time that, you know, just take that weekend, it's someone's time to shop for things, to go for things, and we all, you know, yes, we're doing the best possible, there are we had events every weekend this summer, which means somebody had to be there, which was me, every weekend, you know, so I'm just saying, yes, but somebody has to run it, and
Yeah.
somebody has to.
So I recognize Leslie was just perhaps just asking a question of clarification, and Dan, this is
I didn't know if Leslie
And
volunteer,
volunteered.
but, Leslie, in all seriousness, if you wanted to volunteer for that.
How to-
I mean, I
By all
did it
means.
before, you know, I know what it entails. I get like a monthly list of new homeowners and even though you get the packet of the bylaws and the rules and regs,
Beverly
you know,
said she's
they're.
willing to work with you too.
Yeah, I can't think of a better image where you show up to somebody's front door with a basket of stuff,
That's not
take a
easy.
picture, and then we can post it on our board of all.
That's not easy. My wife did it, and what happens is people's times are up here different, people don't come up, people buy the house, they're not up for the winter. So if you wanna give someone a basket, my recommendation is give them the basket at closing. You know,
A
when you
what?
buy the house.
At closing.
At
Well,
closing.
the back, actually, the best way to meet these folks, and maybe it's not them, it's when they come here to get their keys.
Yeah.
Because that's the big part, you know, that's when
Yep.
your first contact with them. So maybe the way is you have something prepared for them and you'll get it at the office and a letter and the board member lists and, you know.
Yep.
We just don't have a system and maybe can work together, Leslie, Beverly, we can kind of get with Valerie and create that.
Well, I wanna see a picture.
I used to go around town and get flyers from all the businesses in town,
Thanks,
or whatever, and, you know.
Okay, so Beverly's agreeing to help, just coordinate
Let's-
with her, so,
Yeah.
Nick, Leslie, and, Beverly will work on it.
Maybe like 5 baskets in the office, so when you.
Yeah.
This is not a bar.
Okay,
Yep.
they'll figure it
we'll
out,
do
they'll
offline.
figure it out, okay. With that, thanks, everybody, we're gonna go to the member homeowner question comments.
Real quick, just if I could, just two things on the committees, we'll get there.
Okay,
Beverly, I think Beverly's heading up buildings and grounds.
no, Alana is.
Alana head up buildings and grounds now?
Yeah.
Cool. Can we get a calendar, a schedule?
We're gonna meet it right after.
We're meeting today?
I'm gonna talk, you ready?
Cool.
Oh, go ahead.
And then I was gonna say also finance, can we,
Oh, yeah, I was thinking, I know Leslie was interested in like doing work as an assistant treasurer. I have to have another board member on the finance committee. I'd like to know if Leslie, would you wanna, help me out on the finance committee?
Sure.
Okay,
And again, we'll send out a, notice to the community tomorrow, again, with a Google link that people can, including board members, you want to join a committee, join a committee.
No,
No, finance is open to everyone.
I'll have a board only subcommittee that reviews the A and R, since that's privileged and stuff.
Yeah,
gotcha.
okay. Yes, and, just gonna recognize we have 2 folks in the room and folks online, so we're gonna go to the homeowner members and comments, so if you're online, use the raise hand feature. Louis, go ahead.
Okay. As a social director of a major institution up here, I have to tell you, we bought here 24 years ago. And one of the nicest things that happened to us, is somebody giving us a basket. At the closing, we already got the rules and regulations. But when somebody comes to your house, or you go to the office, and you get something from the community saying welcome, greatest thing that happened to us.
Cool.
And that was a long time ago. Okay, number
You still
two,
remember it,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And number two, this thing about one vote for two people at one of the committees, I never heard of that. I'm married again, I'm married 43 years, and I don't think Rosemary and I agreed on many things in those 43 years. No,
My
she
God.
likes wine, I like beer, blah, 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 you know what I mean?
I agree with everything my wife said.
That's what you're gonna
Yeah.
Especially you know better.
I'm not taking the bait.
I know, that legal to have one.
So it mirrors, Louis, it mirrors the bylaws, the voting structure of the bylaws,
Yeah.
which distributes votes by household rather than by human.
By household.
it's,
So we each get a half a
In
vote.
other words, you don't get,
Actually, we get no votes.
Right.
just like in the, when you voted in the election at the previous meeting, you know, you don't get two votes, you get one vote as, well, if you own a home, you get one vote and so on and so forth.
Ah, okay, I'm just curious. Number three, I'm sorry, I'll give you.
No, please.
The vote we got for the weeds, is that run on a gas power?
Yes.
We had the permit from the DEC and our drinking water lake.
it's air, it's exhausted to the atmosphere, not to the water.
What about the oil and gas dripping?
Oil,
It's
vegetable oil,
completely
it's
self-contained.
vegetable. It's all, it's biodegradable. It's all vegetable.
Well, this got a comedian.
No, seriously, it said to us, it's biodegradable, does not create an environmental hazard. If a hydraulic line breaks or something like that, we covered that. Right, it is vegetable oil.
Okay, one more thing. The water company, not the water company, who's in charge of fixing the leaks? You guys are.
The water company for the water lease?
Yeah,
Us.
okay, we have one on Douglas. There's 3 separate leaks and over the months it's been fixed. But the one at the apex of the U is still coming up water.
The one that was already repaired.
We are
Correct,
Yes.
right.
We notified the contractor, we're in the process of getting the repair repaired.
And the resurfacing on the road?
Will be done before winter.
Thank you.
So
Yes, sir.
the logic to the repairs to the road was, let's get
Well,
a few,
yeah, I know. I gotta go back and tell our neighbors who,
And I think the water company board meetings are, they're publishing them whenever they are, so. great questions to ask.
we aligned the water company meetings to shadow the POA meetings, so that way that there's not.
Point is though that they're published to everybody in the community, anybody can attend, so if you have questions, water company related, that's also a good place to go and ask.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jamie Kirkpatrick, I live on Lake Louise Marine. I actually had the same question about this vote, whether or not it's kind of acceptable, permitted for our lake, since it's the drinking water source. I guess my only other question, I'm very glad to hear you already got it. I thought it was a longer process, so that's great. Can you just, for membership, especially the folks on the lakes, like, what exactly does this vote do? Is it essentially a rake? What's the process by which it removes the weeds?
There's a barrel in the front and there's a rubber bottom on the bottom. And it literally goes through, presses the weeds and it pulls the weeds. After the meeting, I'll show you a video.
Okay, and is it for all depths, or is it just around the edges of the lakes?
Surface of the water.
It needs about 8 inches of water to function.
I see.
And I believe the way the permit was written is we're gonna have to be 15 feet off the shore and 15 feet off the island. So those lily pads within 15 feet will remain, but.
Okay.
But it doesn't pull the roots out of
It does.
At all.
It does.
Think of it as waxing the lake.
It does. It pulls the roots. Oh, yeah, it does. If it didn't do the roots, it wouldn't work. It does the roots. It pulls the roots right out. Literally pulls the roots.
Homeowners can at any time remove the lily pads and weeds from their own properties without permitting. They can't pay by hand.
So that's a good, so if you're on Lake Louise and you see like 2 little lily pads or 3 little lily pads and you're on a 5, just pull. That's what we do. You know,
Don't throw them back in the lake.
Don't throw them back in the lake. Just pull them, take them home.
Put them in your bonfire.
Okay, thank you.
But I'll definitely show you a picture after the meeting.
Okay.
Thanks. Anybody online have questions for us? If so, use the raise hand feature. Going once, going twice. All right, thanks, everybody. Board members.
One case, I'm sorry. The chemical restrictions, is that only for lakefront?
No.
All
Well,
Okay,
because everything flows in, you know.
that makes sense.
watershed.
What is the committee meeting email, the committee's email going out to homeowners just so they can get this?
I'll dust
This
off,
week?
I'll dust off the form today and send it to Nick tomorrow.
Perfect, so this week. Okay.
This week. Okay, our next meeting is October 19th. It's a regular meeting, so we'll see everybody then. Board members, hang on for a very short executive session. Everybody else, thank you for coming. Those online, thank you for joining us.
Motion to move to executive.
Second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any recusals, any abstentions, hearing none, let's go.
In my regards.
I will, I don't.